Hi everyone, welcome back to this course. This is the second introduction video, and in this video, I will focus more on the logistical details. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, in spring 2020, 90% of this course will be asynchronous course, and you will get access to most of the course content through Camino. So working through the syllabus and knowing the different available tools on Camino becomes really important for the success of this course. So here, Camino becomes a central website to store all the different types of information. The homepage of the Camino website contains some brief but very useful information. You will find a short course introduction, my office hours, course description, as well as a little introduction of who I am and my professional background. The component that I want to highlight on the homepage is my office hours. I will host my office hours this quarter, but my office hours will be a little bit different from the traditional office hours. I will host my office hours over Zoom. It will be really difficult for me to stay in the Zoom conference room throughout the whole interval of my office hours, so in this quarter, I ask you to go to this link and make a reservation on my Google Calendar. Once you have made a reservation on my Google Calendar, I receive your reservation, I will send you a Zoom link via email, and we can meet and interact with each other over Zoom. If you are not available within my office hours, this is not a problem at all. You are more than welcome and in fact highly encouraged to schedule a meeting with me outside the office hours. If this is the case, please feel free to send me an email and I will send you a Zoom link, and I'm eager to meet with most and all of you. Next to the homepage, we will go to the syllabus page. The syllabus has been uploaded as a PDF file on the course syllabus. If we open up the course syllabus, this will become a central document that provides you with a good overview of this course. In the very beginning of the syllabus, you will be able to find out my name, where my office is, my email, how we're about to meet within this quarter, our meeting times, and my office hour times. Because most of the course content will be asynchronous, so the meeting times is not so important for this quarter, but I provide this information here just for your reference. If you scroll down a bit, you will be able to find out the content of this course as well as the learning outcomes. This is an ELSJ course, and in spring 2020, it will still be an ELSJ course. This means that we really want to know more about the civic life, civic engagement, and social justice with a specific focus on diversity in organizational settings in the United States. We will also be able to obtain some sociological perspectives and know how to promote social justice within this quarter. So the learning outcomes will remain the same, but we will change the form a bit to adjust to the online learning modules. And here you will find information about the textbook. And yes, we will have a textbook, but it's not a traditional textbook. The textbook is here on the screen, and it is titled as Brotopia. This is a very accessible reading, and we will utilize most of the reading, especially in the second half of this quarter. And the purpose for us to utilize this book is to make it a piece of highly accessible description on the diversity issues or lack thereof, especially among tech companies in the Silicon Valley. This will be really important for us because Santa Clara University is situated in the heart of Silicon Valley, and we do want to utilize our knowledge to promote diversity, and a good starting point will be promote diversity among the tech companies within Silicon Valley. So this is the textbook that you are going to utilize. The first half of the quarter, we will focus more on the academic readings, and starting from the second half of the quarter, we will rely more on this book. Okay, let us go back to the syllabus. After the information on the required text and the materials, you will find some ground rules in this course. This is a primarily sociological course, but it is also a diversity-related course that have all of you who come from different disciplines. So I do believe that setting up some ground rules is very important for this course. There are some ground rules that I particularly want to highlight here. So first, in this course, we will exchange ideas. And exchanging ideas sometimes means that we may critique each other's idea. And in fact, being critical is one of the most important learning outcomes in this course. But because we are doing it through an online form, so sometimes we may critique each other's ideas through online discussions on the discussion board. When critiquing each other's idea on the discussion board, it is really important for us to remember that everyone deserves respect, and we are critiquing ideas, not critiquing people. This is really important in an online learning setting because when we are typing things or when we are exchanging ideas on a discussion board, please remember that your peers may not be able to understand your tone. So please massage your message a little bit to highlight the mutually respectfulness within our online learning community. And also, because this is an interdisciplinary course on diversity, I sometimes may ask you to share some of your observations or experiences. I may ask you, have you read similar stories on newspaper articles, or have you observed the reproduction of social inequality in a specific setting? But this sharing is 100% voluntary. If you are not comfortable sharing your observation or experiences, you will not be forced to do so. And in fact, if you are uncomfortable doing it, please do not do it. I expect you to participate in this course, but participation can take into different forms. You may reflect on your experiences in the community engagement. You may critique the readings or our other course materials. And again, sharing your own experience and observations is definitely not a requirement in this course. And in fact, we want to make sure that all of us are comfortable within this online learning community. And I will encourage you to read the ground rules very carefully because it will be quintessential for our community building through an online forums. If you further scroll down on the syllabus, you will find information on exams and papers, and simply put, these will be the things that I will grade. You will have 2 exams, one midterm and one final. Both exams will be take-home exam. The midterm exam will be closed book exam, and the final exam will be open book exam. You will receive more information on how I'm going to do the so-called objective assessment later in this quarter. Another important component for an ELSJ course is the community engagement work. Because we are doing lots of adjustment in this quarter, the community engagement will be a little bit different. Simply put, you will have 2 choices, and you only need to complete one between the 2 choices. If you're interested in doing and reflecting on some virtual volunteer work, you can choose option 1. In option 1, you will be required to complete a 3-hour virtual volunteer work. You need to log down the hours that you devoted to the virtual volunteer work. Afterwards, you will write a 3-page description and reflection on your virtual volunteer experiences, incorporating the course materials. And the second option is providing an actionable recommendation to our stakeholders, and more precisely, the community partner that Santa Clara University is working with. If you choose this option, you will have a list of about 10 stakeholders, and you can choose one organization that you are really passionate to know more about. You will go to their website, analyze the information available on their website, and provide an actionable recommendations that may help our community partner to build a stronger website or to represent their image in a stronger form. More information about the 2 types of community engagement will be provided on Camino later on. And again, as I implied in my course announcement because we're experimenting with this model and we are not sure how the online community engagement will actually work out. So there may be some change on the specific form of community engagement on an online platform. If you have any ideas, please do not hesitate to let me know. And finally, another important component of this course is attendance and participation. Attendance and participation will be graded based on the following several criteria. You need to engage in the class discussion, primarily on the discussion board. I will have some checking forms throughout this quarter just to make sure that you are keeping up with the course materials. You need to show me the evidence that you have engaged in the readings and other assigned materials. And finally, because 90% of this course will be asynchronous, I will have some synchronized discussion with Zoom with you just to enhance our community building. My current thought is to have 3 synchronized discussion interactions over Zoom throughout this quarter and approximately once every month. And I have a tentative schedule on the synchronous Zoom discussion as well as a focused theme in each discussion. Again, after 2 weeks in this quarter, I will assess your learning outcome and there will be some change. So for instance, if in the worst scenario, the asynchronous form is not working, we may engage in more synchronous interactions. But this is also based on the availability of all of us and the accessibility of this course. If you further scroll down, you will find information on the important due dates. Something that is really important here is that my due dates are not traditional due dates. Instead, they are submission windows. Some of the submission windows will be longer than others. And the reason why I set up the submission windows is to really give everyone some flexibility to arrange your schedule. And I also know that because we all come from different disciplines, maybe we have different speed in terms of catching up with the materials or absorbing the materials. This may be the very first sociology course for some of you, or some of you have taken the 4th or 5th sociological course. So we all have different schedules and a different learning speed. That said, if you are comfortable submitting the assignment early, please submit it as early as the submission window opens. I will grade the assignments as they come in, so if you submit early, you can still receive my timely feedback. But if you feel like you need more time to absorb the materials, please feel free to wait until later in the submission window to submit your assignments, and this will give you more flexibility to arrange the other commitment that you may have. And because the nature of these assignments and the deliverables are different, so the length of the submission windows are different. For the community engagement work, we have a 1-month submission window, but for the midterm and the finals, the submission window is several days. So this means I have submission windows. There are flexibility involved in the design of the so-called due dates. I therefore will not grant extension to your assignments after the closure of submission windows. I do receive late assignments, but late assignments will be penalized according to the late assignment policies. So please make sure that you turn in your assignments before the closure of the submission windows to avoid the penalties associated with late assignments. What are the penalties associated with late assignments? And below the section of important due dates, you will find my policies for late assignment. Simply put, if you are turning your assignments on the same day of the due date, but later than 5 p.m., which is the due time for the closure of most of the assignment, the closure of most of the submission window, your assignment will be penalized by 5%. This means that the highest score you will be able to achieve is about 95%. If you are turning in your assignment several calendar days after the closure of the submission window, your assignment will be penalized by 10% per calendar day. This is a pretty severe penalty, so please make sure that you are turning your assignment before the closure of the assignment windows. I highly encourage you to read through the important due dates, aka the closure of the submission windows, arrange your schedule, navigate some of your other commitments, and to really make sure that your assignments do not receive the penalties associated with late assignment. If you further scroll down, you will find more information about contacting me. I can be contacted via email, via the discussion board, as well as via my office hours on Zoom. I already talked about how to schedule an office hour with me, and one thing that I want to highlight here is because technical things have technical glitches. If you have reserved a spot on my Google Calendar, but 1 hour before our scheduled time, you still have not received an invitation, a Zoom conference invitation from me, please email me, because I highly speculate that throughout this quarter there may be some technical glitches. So please email me and tell me that you have reserved a spot, you have not received the conference invitation, and I will send out my conference invitation. You may also ask me for clarification on the logistical issues. One thing that I want to highlight here is I really think the ability to read through and observe the syllabus as well as navigating the different modules on Camino is really important. And I do want this course to be a good platform for us to enhance this ability. This means if you want to email me to clarify some logistical issues, please indicate in your email if you have checked the syllabus, what are the types of information you have found on the syllabus that may be relevant. I just want to make sure that you have an opportunity to read through the syllabus before directly reaching out to me. But the above policy is only applicable to questions on logistical clarification. So what is the length of the assignment? What is the space? What is the format that I will accept? It is not applicable if you have some clarification questions, some suggestions on the substantive details of this course. So for instance, if you have a concern about the course setup, the learning environment, you want to reach out to me, you do not need to read through the syllabus or indicate how you have searched through the syllabus. The above policy is only applicable to logistical details. Okay, talking about logistical details, I need to highlight that in my assignments, I only accept one form, which is Microsoft Word, just because I want to reduce the possibility and the probability for us to have technical glitches when exchanging assignments and for me to grade your assignments. I completely understand that some of you may utilize a different word processing software such as Pages or Google Doc. If you are utilizing a software other than Microsoft Word, please make sure that you export this document as Microsoft Word before submitting it. And if you further scroll down the syllabus, you will find a table for grading rubric. There are other information on the academic integrity, the contact information of Office of Accessible Education, my accommodations to pregnant and parenting students, discrimination and sexual misconduct. Again, the syllabus is one of the most important documents in this course. Please take your time to read through the syllabus very carefully. It will give you the different tools, the available information about this course, and also a detailed overview of this course. I have some disclaimer about how I will set up this course. The syllabus involves lots of readings. Some are academic, some are non-academic readings. Including these readings do not mean I have provided an exhaustive list on issues related to diversity in organizational settings. It does not mean that I endorse any specific content of the reading. It does not mean that these readings are the most important readings. Instead, it only means that I think at least some components of this reading may serve the content that we are scheduled to discuss in this particular week. And in fact, as I mentioned above, I highly encourage you to be really critical of the readings because we will work together as a class to critique the readings and build up constructive suggestions. I also have a note on the classroom inclusiveness. As a sociologist, I really focus on creating an inclusive learning community. But I also realize that I'm a human being socialized in an imperfect world. So sometimes I may make unconscious assumptions that are not as inclusive as I would hope so. If this is the case that you have identified in my language or the way in which I interact with some of you, please reach out to me as soon as possible. This is really important for me to create a learning community that is inclusive to all of you. And this is also important for everyone who is in this course. And finally, I will also provide some video clips, assign some other materials in this course. Similar rationale about the readings are applicable here. So we may have interviews with stakeholders in our community partners. We may have guest speakers. We may have some videos or movies, but it does not mean that I endorse any or all of the content of these videos or interviews. Instead, we need to treat them as the narrative of real people, and we may learn something from their narratives, and we will be able to obtain some ideas to utilize their narratives and to critique some of the pre-existing ideas in sociology. And finally, in the course, you will find some of the course schedules. I will talk more about the structure of each individual class in a few minutes, but here I will give you a very brief idea on my rationale of setting up the course in this way. As I mentioned a little bit in the very first part of this video, the first half of the quarter will be mainly academic. So I assigned many academic writings. Most of them are published in reputable peer-reviewed journals. So this means that for some of you, you may find it exciting if you are the theoretical or methodological person who is really into the academic writings. But for some of you, you may find the reading materials in the first half of the quarter a little bit challenging. I do not expect you to understand everything on the reading when you are first reading it. And in fact, if you find one piece of the reading or one component of the reading is particularly intensive, please feel free to skim through it, because I will post the videos with my lectures, and the intention of these videos will be distill these reading materials and help all of us to get an idea on what are the highlights of the readings. And after the midterm exams, starting from the second half of the quarter, most of the readings will be non-academic. These are highly accessible readings, and sometimes I also assign videos to just give us an idea on what are the things that are happening about diversity or lack thereof in organizational settings. As I mentioned before, we will read multiple chapters from this book, Brotopia, to understand the diversity-related issues within tech companies. So, broadly speaking, this is my rationale of structuralize the course in this way, and I do really hope that you stay with me, especially in the first half of this quarter, and if you found some reading intensive, feel free to skim through them. Okay, so we have talked about the syllabus. Let us go back to Camino, and I have two additional things that I really want to highlight on. First is announcement. In an online learning community, I will primarily communicate with you as a class through announcement. So please make sure that you set up the alert on Camino so that we all know we can have smooth communications with each other. And again, because we're experimenting with this model and I'm constantly assessing the learning outcome. So there may be some change on the syllabus, on the setup of the assignment. In this scenario, I will also send an announcement through Camino. But I promise you that by changing on the syllabus, I will not increase your workload. And finally, you will find the learning modules in this course. So for instance, my welcome video will be found out in this link, because we want to have an engaging, interactive, also structuralized learning experience. I highly encourage you to go through each learning module step by step. So for instance, In week 0, after I release this learning module, you may want to read carefully on what is on the first page, know a little bit about what is on the class discussion board, and watch the videos. Look through the deliverables and the topics to really make sure that these are the materials that I need to engage with in week 0. Afterwards, you go to the next page, within which I inform you how I will grade your participation, what are the criteria that I will look at in terms of your engagement in the class discussion board. After reading through this page, you go to the next page, which is an activity that asks you to fill in a quiz. So moving forward, each week we will have a structuralized learning module, and if you follow the learning module step by step, you will have a structuralized, interactive, and immersive learning experience. And finally, before I let you go, I really want to highlight that interaction in an online learning course is really important, so we need to take advantage of the discussion forum on Camino. After every class meeting, I will have some structuralized discussions where I pose some questions or I post a case for you to analyze. There is also a pinned discussion, and within discussion, you may be able to answer the questions from your peers or ask your own questions, primarily the logistics related questions about this class. And in general, in this quarter, we will really take advantage of Camino. So Camino becomes the central place where I will store most, if not all, information. And the syllabus, it is perhaps the most important document that all of us need to read carefully. Again, we are experimenting with it, so the first 2 weeks will be really important for me to assess the learning outcome and to identify if there are any changes that need to be made. Especially for this ELSJ course, because I'm also constantly receiving new information from the university, from the Aruba Center, from the ELSJ core committee. So after I receive new information, I may have to make some adjustment on this course. And again, I will communicate with you in a timely manner through announcement. So setting up an alert for announcement. This concludes the video with a pretty detailed introduction of the logistical information about this course. This video will be a really great guideline for you to know what are the types of information that you will be looking for and where you can find it. And I really hope that you will stay in this course. Starting from next Thursday, I will post the very first instructional video about diversity issues in contemporary American organization, and we will start our substantive discussions on diversity in organization from a sociological perspective. I will see you next time.